All right, parents and guardians. I just wanted to have a video specific to AP Gov, the class your teen is enrolled in with me, and I thought it best to do it this way. We're just going to kind of navigate, and I'm going to show you where some of the resources are for your teens, and where there's going to be information about the AP exam, what exactly this course is, some of the value of taking AP courses, and then just some basics. You may have already visited my website, which is great, but I'm going to do a quick little once over of some of the resources on my website at laurathrower.com. And then we'll look into the Google Classroom that your kids use and talk about the AP exam. So if you haven't visited this is basically the homepage. For the students here, I've got a little Bitmoji virtual classroom for them. Got one for y'all too. But for the students, if you ever need to get some information off here, I've got stuff on the whiteboard. You can click on all of these links. If you don't know who their counselor is, you can click on that link. My email and my Google Voice phone number are here for anybody to use, students, parents, guardians alike. The ever-changing bell schedule is always going to be updated here. And then these little stars will take them to their classes. So I have two sections of AP GoPo, an A day and a B day, depending which one your teen's in. I have a little intro video. I showed them the first week of school. Welcome for you guys to look at that. And all sorts of hidden things in here. Teachers just love making these little classrooms. But that's the home page. Also, I'd love to direct you to the Parent and Guardian page. If you haven't already visited this, well, you probably have visited this, but I've got a classroom for y'all with my intro video. I teach the two courses, so there's also the civics and economics video link is here. But underneath, if you have some spare time, please go and read this. These are some great ways to help your teenager be successful in virtual learning. This is a challenge, obviously, for all of these kids learning new ways to be successful, stay organized. They're having to read so much more than they normally would. So a lot of tips here. If you can read these and help your teen with this, you're going to have a far more successful school, I don't want to say year, school semester, school quarter, until we get back in the classroom. Also for parents, there's other important news notices I'll put here from time to time. If you have a child that qualifies as a dreamer, there's a great scholarship opportunity you should check out. If you want to register to vote, or maybe your teen, because they're all seniors, are about to be 18, this has more information about voting. The AP government classes, we're responsible for doing all of the school's voter registration drive, which this year is going to be virtual. So look for your teens to be telling you about that. That's the responsibility of all AP government classes for the entire school, which is part of a big Wake County push as well. So voting's going to be huge this year. As you know, November 3rd is the election, big election. I also have for the teens, or you can read this as well, virtual learning tips. We talked about this in class, but if you're still unclear, what does it mean when you hear this word asynchronous or synchronous? That's some information about that. And underneath it is a great article by Stephanie Becker that talks about ways for kids to be successful with online learning. These are 8 super helpful things that I think parents should read. Talk to your teens about it. Are they doing these type of things? Again, we need so much support from home because unfortunately with virtual learning, you know, we can put everything out there on the internet, but a lot of these skills like focusing, reading for comprehension, organizing, putting off those things those kids would rather be doing, putting that phone down when they're in a live session, you know, all of these things we don't have a lot of control over. So that support at home is key. Last page I'm going to move over to here is the AP GoPo page for the class. So kids have navigated through this, but there's always going to be some information to come back here. Little intro about the course. Basically what AP government is it's a poli-sci credit if they place out. So when they go to college, they don't have to take a political science 101 class. This is an elective. They're concurrently enrolled in civics and economics, which has a little bit of overlap. But AP government, I think, it's way more in depth. It's going to be more the psychology behind government and politics. We look at things like campaigning, the media and how that plays into politics. We look into some of the things that they do in civics, like branches of government and interactions, foundations of our Constitution, but we do it in a way that's a lot more in depth, and I might be biased, but a little bit more interesting. So down here we have the course syllabus. I do know some parents have read through this, but if you haven't, please read through this. This is chock full of tons of information and detail, especially when you get down to expectations, of my students, which of course are changing in a virtual learning environment, and then how we're weighting assessments in this class. This is something I know parents are going to want to know. There is a final exam. There's a civics project in all AP government classes, which kids are going to learn more about. The late work policy, deadlines have to be met. We have to stay on track. So a lot of these things are going to be in the syllabus you need to know. The end of this syllabus has the chapters. They all have that book at home, their AMSCO book, the chapter readings and the units. So you can take a look at that on your own time. More information about the civics project, if you want to know about that and talk with your teen, they're going to have to get real creative on this. The world is their oyster when it comes to the civics project and how they want to contribute with good citizenship. There's some Supreme Court cases they have to know, required foundational documents. All that's in here. There's information about the exam itself, how long it is, what is on there. There's 4 free response questions like mini essays, multiple choice, all sorts of stuff. So please go and take a look at this. Back to the laurathrower.com AP government page. If you go below the syllabus, some very helpful links here. The kids, throughout the year, they're going to have to be reviewing these Supreme Court cases and these 9 foundational documents. So there's tutorial videos there. There's even more in-depth videos I'll show you soon. If you want to know more about the actual AP exam details, that's going to be on this page. What the multiple choice questions look like, the breakdown. AP exams are all scored on a 1 to 5 basis. You can see with the global AP exam results, only about 13% of kids from 2019 scored a 5 on the exam. That could be your teen, but it is rare really to get the 5s and the 4s. I tell kids shoot for the 3 because most colleges will take a 3, give them placement credit so they don't have to take that class in college, saving you the Benjamins, right? So there's some little more information there about that also. So again, at your time, peruse. The big ideas might be interesting to you, and the full college board description, since this is an AP course, is there. So there's a little bit about the basics there. The other thing I just wanted to show you, if you haven't looked, if you look at your kids' Google Classroom, so for example, we'll look at one of these Google Classrooms here. So the structure of Google Classroom, it's pretty basic. I'd say about half the teachers are using Canvas. This class uses the Google Classroom. And there's a stream page, which is kind of almost like Facebook posting. On here, due dates are always going to be on the left, so it organizes it for them so they know what's due. Teachers will post things in the stream from time to time. A new video review I added to the Chapter 1 review materials in the AMSCO Lodestone, just telling them about that. Sometimes I just put interesting news things up there, all of that. I'm giving them answer keys a lot to activities they are required to do out of their book. So once the assignment's done, they'll be able to go and check their work, all of that. So that's the stream page. That's the link to their Google Meet. And then the classwork page here, on the left are all the topics, the folders. The top is always going to be the review materials for whatever we're studying at the time. So currently we're on Unit 1, which is Chapters 1 and 2, and there is all sorts of review materials. We're losing a lot of in-class time with this, so a lot of these are not going to be covered by me in class. The student needs to go out, watch these videos. There's some videos on some of the required documents they need to know. Some of these are lectures I did for them. Some of these are lectures that I allowed somebody else to do because there's a lot better. But that's where that kid is going to get tons of review material. So a lot of self-paced and organized they have to do. They have checkpoint submissions they have to turn in for their reading. That's that big packet they picked up at the start of the year as well. The day-to-day work will be under these folders. So for this week, September 8th to the 11th, my B-Day classes I think I have today. This will be the assignment. There's also a video assignment. They always check the due dates. So the assignment today, this will tell you, is due at 11:59 tonight. But for some assignments that need a little more time, September 10th. So there's also a calendar up here at the top. So what you're going to find is there's a ton of ways to keep your kid, keep your teen organized and knowing when things are due. But they have to make that effort to go out and use some of these tools. They have to go out and look at the calendar. Keeping their own calendar that they transfer from it, probably a good idea too. So that's the basic gist of it. If there's work they haven't done, you'll see a big red missing next to it. So there's really no excuse for a kid not turning in work, because once the due date passes, it's going to tell them this is missing. That information, of course, will also be in PowerSchools. If you want to have access to this Google Classroom so you can see, is my teen doing the work? What quality of work are they doing? Are they doing their best? Are they rising to your expectations? You can get access to this. Send me an email. You need a Gmail to be able to access it. So whatever Gmail account you have, or set up one if you don't have it, shoot me that. You'll get a message that says, here's how you can access your kids' Google Classroom. So you can see everything they do. Grades are always going to be transferred into PowerSchools. You also need access to PowerSchools. If you don't have a parent access code for that, you can email Jennifer Pendergraft up at our school. She'll get you set up with that. That's jpendergraft@wcpss.net. Or shoot me an email and I'll get it to her. So you should be able to check and follow along with your teen. Grades that get put into Google Classroom, they basically are still getting transferred to PowerSchools. This process is a little time consuming for teachers, so hopefully your teen is keeping up with the PowerSchools grades, because that's the ones that really count. So that's pretty much the gist of that. Hopefully you guys will be able to follow along with them and get some of this information in there. So AP exam info, again, look in that syllabus and it's going to go way more into depth, but I hope that all my kids shooting for that 3, that 4, that 5 on the AP exam, saving you some money when they go off to college in a class they don't have to take, in time. But more importantly, that they learn all the concepts in this class. We're going to talk about political ideology. We're going to talk about the importance of a democracy, tons of current events. One thing to note that I always usually talk about when I see parents is this class is, because it goes into more depth than it is political science, it does come across controversial topics, current events for the day that are happening. And, you know, in an in-person setting, and I'm sure online, things can be a little uncomfortable sometimes for kids. There's a lot of, in the essays and talk of, when you have an opinion, defend that opinion with evidence, with data, with credible data. And so we even have a whole unit on that, how to tell about media bias and looking for, we've already looked into one assignment about conspiracy theories in politics because they're running rampant right now. So it's a super interesting class, but yeah, will kids have different ideas? They will, and that's great. We want to hear all those good ideas. We want to hear conflicting opinions and the evidence that these opinions are built on. So I think it's a great class. Hopefully you'll follow along in the Google Classroom. If you have any questions, email me. Again, you can go to laurathrower.com and all that information is out there. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and we'll be talking to you throughout the year.